friends, I'm Stephanie Hansen. Let's go! I've been cooking, eating, and talking about it for years.
This is amazingly good.
Now I'm inviting you along for the ride. You seem like you're pretty adventurous about food. Meet the chefs, home cooks, restaurateurs, and bakers honing their crafts. Oh, look at that technique. And try new recipes with me in my kitchen. It's simple, it's easy, that looks amazing. There's always something delicious to share. This is Taste Buds. Hello, Taste Buds. I am out at Sweetland Orchard, my friend Gretchen Merriweather's beautiful apple farm. There are over 5,000 apple trees. We are gonna taste hard cider. We're gonna taste ice wine ciders, which maybe might not be familiar to you, but we're also gonna taste some of these delicious apples, and there might even be donuts. What a great fall day in Minnesota. Come on along. Hello. Did you eat? Are you curious? You look like a lovely pig. I am here with my friend Gretchen Merriweather, and she is the proprietress, the owner, the savant, literal savant of apples behind Sweetland Orchard. You have like over 100 varieties?
Yep.
I mean, just 100. There's these kind for baking, and there's this kind for making hard cider, and there's just a lot more to know about apples, so I know you're the person to tell us.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about apples endlessly.
Endless apple talk. Okay, going to the orchard. We're gonna go to 3 different kinds, I think, today. If you have 5,000 trees here, do you know every type of apple on every tree?
For some of the newer trees in the orchard, I might still be a little bit confused, like, oh, is it this or is it that?
Yeah.
And some of the younger trees are just bearing fruit for the first time, too.
How long does it take for a tree before it will actually get apples?
The modern varieties will bear the year after they're planted. The older varieties, it might take a little longer,
Oh.
3, 4, 5 years. We're heading to this row right here with these brown guys.
Okay, it's kind of got like a brown skin, but it looks delicious.
I know, it's brown, gold.
What kind of apple is this?
This is an Ashmead's kernel.
Ashmead's kernel? Like I've heard of that before.
This is an Old English variety.
Whoa, tart.
Russets tend to have really high sugar and really high acid, which makes for just a really intensely flavored apple.
Delicious though. So this is a russet. And say the name again, someone's kernel.
Ashmead's kernel.
Ashmead.
But
Yum.
it's delicious, really. Let's try a spitter.
Okay, spitter. Does that mean we're literally gonna spit? They're
Well,
small,
we'll find
smaller
out.
than I thought.
A lot of cider apples are on the small side. I grow some that are on the bigger side, like Foxwell, but these are small. These are called Dabinet.
I mean, am I supposed to hate it? Because I don't.
What is it doing to your mouth?
It's making it pucker like an acorn or some kind of a like soury nut. So,
Yeah, I mean, like,
oh yeah, it's coming now. More on the after
yep, it's not,
spitter apple.
but it's very drying in your mouth. And so those tannins that are doing that to your mouth, that's what's gonna give cider body.
Are those tannins in the skin or the flesh
It's
itself?
actually in the flesh.
Oh, okay. Spitting apples. All right. Do we have one more that we're going to that we call like dessert apple?
Let's head to the Harrelsons.
Harrelson? I never met a Harrelson I didn't like.
Here's a little Harrelson tree.
Okay.
Let's pick the reddest one and see if it's actually ripe yet.
And we call these a dessert apple because these are the ones that people buy in the stores and that are the most traditional apple-y flavored.
Right, and this is just a classic Minnesota favorite.
Pretty white flesh, right?
Yeah, yep, and a lot of people like this apple for eating out of hand, and I think it's got a really good reputation as a pie apple.
It's kind of tart, but it's super delicious.
That's kind of a Minnesotan cold climate thing, is we like apples that are a little bit on the tartar side.
Those are the kind of apples I want in a salad to cook with. And if we're making like applesauce, we always just dump sugar in there, so.
No, there's enough sugar in that apple.
All right, don't add sugar to your applesauce.
Not necessary.
We're also gonna talk about hard ciders.
Yep.
All right, let's go. Gretchen, we've made it into, do you call this your tap room, your barn? This is where all the magic happens?
Yeah, just the barn.
Are there specific apples that go into individual ciders or like?
There's 3 broad categories of apples. You got your dessert apples, and so theoretically you'd eat them for dessert. Not that anybody ever eats an apple for dessert. So I put dessert apples into cherry rhubarb, so that ends up being a flavored cider, and so we taste tart cherries and we taste rhubarb, and we have a very nice cider base, just a nice, clean, delicious base.
All right,
Cool.
so let's cheers. Also, how cute is pink? Oh boy, yes. Yes, friend, yes. You really get the cherry flavor. The rhubarb is more like in the aftertaste a little bit.
And it actually provides some texture and body to it too.
Is this a bestseller?
Everybody's got to have something that pays for the farm.
I love it.
So that's category 1. Category number 2, heirloom apple varieties like Northern Spy, Golden Russet, Ashmead's Kernel, all those crazy names you've never heard of. Hubbardston Nonesuch, everybody's favorite.
The Hubbardston Nonesuch.
No, considered multi-purpose apples. You could eat them out of hand, but most people aren't super duper interested in that because, like, say the russeted apple varieties, they've got that really rough skin. A lot of them have a real intensity of flavor.
Whoa, tart.
But in cider then, they have more going on. So this is actually a single variety cider, just Northern Spy apples.
Okay.
You don't get that many single variety ciders out there.
Northern Spy, this one apple.
Yep, so this is a high acid cider, excellent with food. This is my,
Oh, do we have to cheers
We
first?
totally
Sorry, I
have to
got so
cheers.
excited. I just got so excited, Gretchen, when you said high acid. I was like, that's for me.
yeah.
Like, it's just so delicious. It's like, I love sparkling wine. I love champagne.
If you drink the cider and then take a bite of something and then drink the cider again, it tastes completely different. And then you go back to the food and that tastes different. So there's a synergy that happens when you drink this cider with a meal.
And people, you can come out, you can have cider, you can have cheese, you can have bread, you can do all those fancy things that you think only people do in Europe or people that make ciders do. I know Gretchen does this.
And then, okay, the third category is actual cider apples. So those are the apples known as spitters.
But it makes a great cider.
They make I think maybe the best hard cider, yeah. And that's the hard cider that is most akin to wine, like the cider that's most appropriate for aging, to make something that's really, a really fine cider that's appropriate for a presentation in a wine bottle.
Okay.
Scrumpy Original is the one that has the spitters in it. So that's all those.
What does Scrumpy mean?
Well, okay, so Scrumpy is like an English thing, and it means just like your farmhouse blend. It means all of the apples. It means like fully fermented, so it's as alcoholic as it can get. And so it's just this catch-all term for hard cider.
All right, because Scrumpy is a word that I want to name my next dog. Okay, cheers, Gretchen. Oh, it's kind of winey forward because it's a little drier, it's not as sweet.
Yeah, it's almost like a hybrid between a beer and a wine, really.
Yeah.
But it's a little funky too.
It's got a funky, like, fauna-y, earthy aroma. You also make iced ciders. Do we dare try those too?
We can.
Fabulous.
I'm fascinated by iced cider. I first, I think, encountered them in Canada, maybe.
It is a cider that's made from fresh pressed juice, fresh pressed cider that's been frozen. So what you do is you take your fresh pressed cider, you let it freeze outside. And when I do this, I stick it outside from November until February, March, and I just let it go through all these little micro freeze thaw cycles.
Okay.
It's just an intense flavor. It packs a wallop.
But I also noticed, like, this one is oak barrel aged, this one is rye whiskey barrel aged. So kind of like putting whiskey in different vessels or wine in different vessels, they impart that flavor.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, and so that's why we start just with the standard non-barrel aged version so you can see what that one's like.
Okay, and that would be this one. So cheers, Gretchen.
Cheers.
Oh, just bringing it to your face. It smells like just a really rich apple cider.
It does. And it smells outdoorsy too in some kind of way.
Yum. It's a little tart. It doesn't even really taste like alcohol.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, so rich and just smells like fall.
So this is the oak barrel aged version.
All right, another cheers. This is oak barrel aged. Borealis Winter Reserve hard cider. It's a little thicker, a little warmer, a little kind of like spicier, almost like to the whiskey side a little bit.
A little bit. This one's like, oh, you've spent some time in a cellar, have you?
Oh, we're heading somewhere. The rye whiskey barrel is going to be a little different flavor, right, than an oak profile?
Yes.
So this is going to be like your sophisticated uncle wine.
Yeah.
Oh, but not winey, very cidery, just tart, straightforward, a little less oaky smell. I think this is my favorite one.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah, you're still in an oak barrel, it's just already been used for something, whereas this one was a new oak barrel.
Okay, so that's the difference.
Yep.
Okay, Pommeau.
Pommeau is a combination of fresh pressed cider and eau de vie, or unaged brandy. It's also a little bit more like whiskey-ish. It's like a cocktail in a bottle.
It's sort of like whiskey forwardy, but not too much burny, syrupy, cidery, delicious apple brandy, want another one, hang out in your fiery house with your like roaring fire sticks and your marshmallows and your hot guy with his flannel shirt and tight jeans. That's what that is. That was real good. Cheers, Gretchen. Gretchen, I'm just sitting here like smelling your delicious cider donuts, your breads, your apples, your cheese. So people can get flights when they come out to the orchard. You can pre-order them online or you can grab a flight when you're here.
This is what a cider kit looks like, and it's not uncommon at all for people to order some Shepherd's Way cheese or Odenthal's meat. We make the cider donuts here, and then that's my great-grandma's bread recipe. It's a pretty yummy one. I always loved it when I was a kid. She was a donut maker and a bread baker and a cook, and it is said that if there's anyone in the family I take after, it's my great-grandma.
There is a flavor, like almost like a snack bread flavor to it.
Yeah, rye flour, graham flour, molasses, and then all the other normal bread stuff.
Yum, and you always have that just at the ready. And can I try a donut?
Go for it.
Yum. The donut is like an old-fashioned cake donut. It's cinnamon.
I take fresh pressed cider and I reduce it by half, and then that goes into the donut batter.
Oh, so there is apple in the batter.
There is, yep. And then there's the cinnamon and the sugar on the outside of it.
Very, very delicious. Is it better to like feed them donuts or, sorry, I didn't mean to scream. Oh, it's just like you're worried. Like when you're feeding a dog and they're like, ooh. Oh, does that mean they want more? Let's give them apple. That seems like, since we're at the orchard.
Seems healthy.
Yes.
As if they don't get all the apples they want out in the orchard.
Can they just go out there?
Absolutely, they do. They've been doing a nice job keeping those first two rows cleaned up.
Okay. Oh. Well, as I sit here and drink more cider and eat more cheese and more apple cider donuts, like I haven't had enough today, people can come to the orchard throughout the end of the month, right?
Yep.
Month of October. And will you stay open into November, or do you have a hard close date?
I will. It depends what the weather's like. If it's nice weather, I'll stay open. If it's winter, time to shut down.
Time to shut down. But you can always find Sweetland Orchard ciders at your local liquor stores. You can look for the ice ciders. You can either look online or you can find them at, is there any local liquor store that carries your whole line of items?
South Lindale, I think, sells everything that I make.
Those nice guys at South Lindale.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us today. It was an amazing day, as the chicken is chiming in and agreeing.
Yeah, that's just part of farm life down here. Thanks for making the trip.
I need to have more farm in my life. Thank you, Gretchen.
You're welcome.
For more from today's episode, go to fox9.com/tastebuds. Oh, there's a water spigot there. It's like when I had a gerbil and they would be in your classroom and they would make that sound where they were getting water from the spigot. Oh, cute.